you all invented, what I learned was a term called speed to lead back in my career karma days.
Yes.
So can you talk about speed to lead, why it's important, and the difference between like an inquiry or prospect and,
yes,
and that whole
sure.
student journey?
Happy to. People need flexibility and adaptability. And when they have a moment in their life to reach out to SNHU, our obligation back to them, that brand promise of opening up access, is to get to them in the moment that matters most for them. If you think that you are interested in education at 10 o'clock at night and you have been thinking about it and one of our commercials comes up, we owe it to you to talk with you at that point. The sensibility, the attributes of an organization and the people within an organization to be deeply curious. Not just checking a box, as you said earlier. I have to ask these questions.
Yeah.
So whether that's a human or that's an agent, it's about knowing.
Yeah.
And caring to know.
Goals and purpose can change. Personalization isn't static. It's not just at the beginning. It's changing.
Boom.
You're changing as
There's
a person.
There's a mic drop
right?
in what you just said.
Right.
And that's the risk, right? That you'll say, I'll buy a system that will help me with personalization. You think it's a one and done.
Happy Thursday. My name is Ruben Harris, and this is The New Normal. The New Normal is a show where we go inside of organizations that are actually using AI in production at scale in a way that's making a meaningful impact in their organizations. This is not a show about hype. It's a show where we interview leaders who have made decisions to reimagine their organizations with AI at its core. Today, we're in the beautiful New Hampshire. We're on SNHU's campus, and I'm excited to introduce our guest, President Lisa Ryerson. Welcome, Lisa.
Oh, thank you, Ruben. It's such a treat to be with you. I love everything. I love the name of your podcast, your approach to AI-centric work. Thanks for inviting me. It's a privilege.
Thank you for being with us. Love your energy, love our conversation yesterday, and I like the conversation that we're about to have right now. So before we get into the school, why don't we get into you? Who is President Ryerson? How did you get here? And why did they choose you?
Oh, that's, as is always the case with you, an insightful question. Who is Lisa Marsh Ryerson? I'm a teacher and a learner and a leader, all of those three items together. I'm a mother and a grandmother. What I would want you to know most about me and why I believe I was selected is I'm a believer in people and in the power of people through education across a lifetime to transform their own lives, the lives of their families and communities, and therefore humanity and society.
I love that. And I love that you brought up mother and grandmother.
Yes,
because
important to me.
I'm a product of the matriarchy. We talked about
You shared
this.
that with me.
I'm a mama's boy. I love my grandmother, rest in peace.
And I love that about you, Ruben. You understand the power of the women in your life.
Yes, and that's where I'm going to go, where if the majority of college students are women now, right, why is it important for women to lead? Like, go deeper on that.
I think it's always been important, and you are right. And I own that in the following way. I recognize that in my seat as the president CEO of one of the largest universities in the nation, how important it is for me as a woman leader to reach behind me, remember that I stand on the shoulders of other great leaders and other great women, and that part of my accountability is helping them find and have pathways forward as leaders.
And I love that you brought up what you all have accomplished and the size and importance of this institution. But for the people that don't know, tell us about SNHU, how big it is, its scale, its history.
Yeah, what I want to do is look out at the audience and say, what do you mean you don't know about SNHU? But what I would want you to know is that our mission drives everything that we do. And we are scaled and we are large because of what our mission calls us to do, to open up access to opportunity to help learners transform their lives through workforce, meaningful, relevant programs that unlock opportunities for all. And our accountability is driving equitable outcomes for all. So the scale. Right now, today, we start terms every 8 weeks. So today, 225,000 learners at SNHU. If you look at that over the course of a 12-month period, over 300,000 learners enrolled at SNHU. And if you had a chance to catch up with the most recent postings or media about IPEDS data, we've had the largest increase year over year percentage in students, over 19% increase.
I love that
in learners.
That's massive. You
It
brought
is
up
massive.
iPad's data and data in general. You said something earlier about data
Yes.
that we'll touch on in a second.
Yeah, that's important to know about me.
Yeah.
When you said, who is Lisa Marsh Ryerson? I am an evidence-informed leader. Data and discipline around data matter. Why for me? I'm excitable, Ruben. You know that about me. I love new ideas. I fall in love with new ideas, and being disciplined around data helps ensure that decision-making is grounded in reality, not just chasing a new shiny thing.
So we're talking about evidence-based leadership,
Yes?
data,
Data.
and the term that you share with me, which is effective social enterprises.
That's right.
You've led not just SNHU, you've also led AARP. What is an effective social enterprise, and how does data inform evidence-based decisions?
Yes, it is. Thank you. You're a very careful listener who is curious, and you know how important that is to me. For me, higher education is such purposeful work because education is a core social determinant for health, for individuals, communities, and for our society. So when you hear me say it in that way, you understand why I see us as an enterprise, a full system of learning across a life course, and our mission calls upon us to have outcomes that are for the individual and that are social outcomes. So it is that doing work effectively and doing good work for individuals and for communities. That is measurable. Social enterprises are businesses, and it provides deep, broad, shared focus for SNHU, and I've worked at other social enterprises as well, as you said. But yeah, I was the president for many years of a historic women's college. I worked at AARP, where AARP is a phenomenal organization working to improve life for people who are 50 and older, letting them live life as they want to. I led the foundation fighting poverty. So you see this thread. Coming to SNHU was a return to a big mission to help learners have access to learning from wherever they are, whoever they are as an individual, whatever their identities are, their circumstances are. Our obligation to provide them with rich experiences that help them unlock their opportunities.
I love that. And
Big missions.
Big missions, and we're gonna go into health in a second. And you and I both share a history of working with seniors because
we do.
I used to work at Honor, right?
I know,
in the
and I
caregiving
loved
space.
learning that about you.
I was a caregiver as well.
Yes,
so.
and I do know you have been a caregiver. We talked about everything about that and where you find information and the gift of longevity for more individuals in society, but also the things we need to address and acknowledge about caregiving. When you had that role, it's an unseen role.
It is an unseen role, underappreciated role.
Underappreciated.
It's very...
It can be lonely.
I was shocked to find out that a lot of times the caregivers that are younger,
Yes,
taking care of older people, often pass away
I know.
earlier due to psychological stress.
That's right. It's lonely. It can lead to isolation and loneliness as well. So more on that. We recognize that we have many caregivers who are our learners and many in our workforce. And how do we provide supports that indicate, I see you?
Yeah. And in a way, right, teachers tend to be unappreciated.
Oh, for sure.
And they need to be feeling
Yes.
like they're seen, and so do students. And
That's
going
right.
back to this point about effective social enterprises and evidence-based leadership, you did something. So you talked about the scale, 300,000
Yes.
plus students, right? You did something when you came here, which is shrinking the size of your leadership team.
I did.
How big is that team?
Yes.
Why did you do it, and why is it important?
Yeah, I did. I looked at the executive team, and for me, it is always having the right voices and the right mix of talent at the table on behalf of the whole. And focus and relationships, you and I spoke about this. I don't think anything is accomplished without that combination. And for me, just being large did not lead to the most effective conversations that I wanted to be holding in the room. Now, at the same time that my executive team of 7 was smaller, the layers of leadership underneath for a strategic leadership council, for our leadership alignment group, increased. In other words, it's not only one leader group that knows everything or should be making all of the decisions.
Yeah, yeah. No, I like thinking about decisions a lot, and I like the size of the team because it also it ties to pace.
It ties to velocity,
speed,
setting
right?
the right pace.
You and I are both musicians, right?
We
you
are.
Play clarinet, I play the cello,
and you
right?
still play. And I
still
shared
play,
with you that you've inspired me. I can see where my clarinet is stored. It would be hard to get my embouchure back, but I'm going to try.
Bring it back, and then we
I'm
can
going
play
to bring
something.
it back,
That'd be
and
great.
we can,
And so, as a musician, and as someone that has those roots, like us,
Yes.
we talked about music school in Ithaca,
Yes.
and that
Yes.
tie. Talk about setting the right pace and the tempo for
Yes.
your team, and why that is important.
Yeah, it is important. Then I think about pieces of music where you know that adagio is the right pace, but then
Yeah,
where you are
there
picking
you
it
go.
up, where
There
you
you go.
need pauses and interludes, or
Yeah.
play that chorus again,
Yeah.
as opposed to going into new music. Setting the pace for me is about not everything moving fast, but it is the team understanding that time boxing matters. So I'm happy to I want to talk with you more about that because I think it's a practice that you have as
Time
well.
boxing? You said
time boxing.
Yes, let's talk about it.
Which is knowing that you can't sit in analysis paralysis forever.
Correct.
And because I believe in evidence and discipline, you have to know when you have enough evidence, qualitative and quantitative, to move forward. So time boxing is important for me, as is understanding some decisions can be made quickly. The data will show that to you. And I know we'll talk more about this when you think about conversion
Yeah.
rates, what data will show you. There are decisions universities and other sector leaders of other organizations can make pretty quickly with that data. When you're thinking about decisions that inform necessary cultural shifts in an organization, the pace for that will likely be a bit slower because one has to know who do you bring in, when and at what time, how do you value that, and then how do you own the accountability as a leader to say, I've listened, I've learned, I'm moving.
That's right. And I think that the time boxing is so important because even though higher ed is an effective social enterprise and people do measure metrics,
Yes.
even though some people might move slower or faster before they make a decision, by the time they make a decision, it takes a very long time
to implement.
see, not only to implement, but also to see if it did anything,
I know.
right?
You're raising a critically important point because you're right. You think about the life cycle of a student journey, you know, whether that is even term to term or if you're thinking about entry until completion, you have to be patient, you're reminding me. And I agree with you 100%, Ruben, until you see the result. Up front, though, we measure a lot and measurement matters. However, sometimes we measure things that matter less than other measurements. And also, it is easy, I think, for organizations in higher education, the field that I love most and have worked in the longest, to want to analyze every bit of information and to get maybe to drown a little bit. Let's call it a data lake. So we'll use that example.
A lot of people focus on that.
Are you swimming in the data lake and making it to the other side, or are you drowning in your data lake?
Yeah.
And so the need to say, what is the relevant information for this decision that I'm making? And if you're measuring everything and collecting all of that, it's a little bit like clogging up your arteries.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you're taking in things
And if
maybe
you
that
do
are
that,
not
you
as
die.
nutritionally significant for the decision that you need to make.
No,
right?
I really love that point because it ties to what you shared with me yesterday. With there's nice haves and there's must haves.
That's right.
There's primary metrics and secondary metrics.
You got it.
Right.
And tertiary
and tertiary
information.
metrics. Right. So you talked about obsession
Yes.
yesterday too, and you
I
talked
did.
about the importance of obsessing, not just at the end when a student graduates
Right.
and you're trying to get them to a job, which now schools are being held accountable
That's
to
right.
more. You got to obsess about it in the beginning.
From the first time you meet them.
Exactly. And so obviously I'm very honored to be here with you because I've been studying SNHU for a very long time.
Thank you.
And you all are known, and we haven't talked about AI at all,
No.
for having this obsession and this relationship with someone throughout their entire student experience.
Yes.
And you all invented what I learned was a term called speed to lead
Speed to
back in
lead.
my career karma days.
Yes.
So can you talk about speed to lead, why it's important, and the difference between like an inquiry or prospect and,
Yes,
and that whole
sure.
student journey.
Happy to. And jump in and interrupt me if
I
I'm
will.
not, quite getting at what you hope this conversation will be for your listeners and viewers. Speed to lead, part of you said, why did I come to SNHU? So much of it was the mission. And also, since its founding, leaders who absolutely obsessed about the experience for learners. That is a throughput from 1932, from graduations with 50 learners on Hanover Street who were there to graduations now with tens and tens of thousands. So it was that culture that said, our learners, people need flexibility and adaptability. And when they have a moment in their life to reach out to SNHU, our obligation back to them, that brand promise of opening up access, is to get to them in the moment that matters most for them. So you're right, that speed to lead happened. Certainly AI was around then, but it wasn't being used broadly and well before AI. And I love that you asked this, Ruben, because that core tenet of what this community did, and Paul LeBlanc and so many leaders who walked before me across the entire organization, set the course for our ability to be smarter about AI use, because we will not lose the speed to lead notion and the human in that loop as well as the AI. Why is it important at the beginning? You are greeting someone with a greeting that says, I understand you. I understand that everyone has different lives that they're leading, that lives are complex. You might be working, caregiving, up and down the chain, working multiple jobs. If you think that you are interested in education at 10 o'clock at night and you have been thinking about it and one of our commercials comes up, we owe it to you to talk with you at that point. We owe you that same level of connection and support when you move into the enrollment funnel. We should see you as a recruit who will be an alumnus who should be with us for a lifetime relationship where we can continue to coach, advise, learn from and with you, and develop new programs, products, and opportunities that help you continue to unlock opportunity.
Beautifully said. And if I summarized it for people that are listening that may not have speed to lead, because on this journey speaking with higher ed leaders, it is actually shocking to me that, again, ignoring AI, almost zero schools have an outbound call motion or personalized text message motion to serve a student in that moment that matters. What you said that stood out to me the most out of everything you just said just now is it's important to reach out to the student at that moment that matters to them.
It is.
Right? If they're out and they're exhausted and they're filling out a form, that might be the only moment that they could focus on it because they got a lot of things going on
the
in
next
life.
day, life rushes back at you. And the moment is past.
Yes. So now let's talk about
But I want to stay on something you said.
Let's go.
Because as I've talked with you and learned more about your obsession, which I value so much about this, because it shows to me you care. You obsess about someone's experience.
That's right.
And about the power that education can intervene at the right point and help. So you're obsessing about things that are critically important for higher education. So thank you for that. I want to say that when I hear you talk about it, every place could do this.
Yes.
So I want my colleagues to know, or anyone listening, it's not just about being scaled. It's a decision to make about a core value. And then once you've made that decision to walk and work in a certain way, you build up the macro processes and the disciplined and the workforce and the capacity with technology tools to get that done.
I love that you said that, because to your point, the purpose of this is so as people are listening that there's playbooks that they could take away.
Yes.
You brought up something else, which is like people that are left behind.
Yes.
Right? And even people that have decided to put in that obsession and that care to serve students, there's limits to human capacity.
That's right.
To serve everyone. And so to get 300,000 plus students, there's probably millions of people that are coming to you.
Yes.
And we talked about this yesterday, where there's some people that may not be able to get touched by a human. So how are you thinking about reaching people that may not be that immediate conversion today because this is a big life decision,
It's
right?
a big
if I
life
wanna,
decision.
If I want to invest in my education
Yes.
and I fill out a form today, I might not enroll till like 6+ months later.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So how do we serve those people that contacted us, but we may not have the human capacity to reach right now?
Well, and I want you to, I'm really curious. I continue to be curious about the way that you've thought about this as a founder, as a believer in people and capacity. Yes, our mission is access, and we are so proud about our continued focus on being open access. Why? At SNHU, we believe that everyone has potential, and that our part of their journey is to help lift up their own agency. Driving equitable outcomes means recognizing that even at scale, learners need different interventions and supports to complete their learning. And so we can't have a human at every stage as we continue to grow. But that original speed to lead led SNHU to build out, a team of advisors for everything that we do, who are the humans who deeply know their group of learners, who do proactive outreach and also take inbound messages from them. But the thread is the person. What excites me about our conversation is that in an agentic world where you recognize that an AI agent in fact can perform knowledge work on behalf of, and more importantly with, a human,
Bingo.
many more people are left behind. Why are they left behind? Social structures, a long time history of people getting messages about who is a college student and who isn't. And that meant many things. It meant your identity, including your age. It meant where you lived and had access. It's not how we see it at SNHU. So I'm thrilled that you recognize our size, and I want you to know that anyone at SNHU would say that I tell them every day, we are not serving enough people. We have to be bigger and bigger. To your question, it will require us to be smarter about harnessing not just the power of technology, the power of the agentic workforce. How do you have people and agents every step of that journey analyzing the data and knowing when to intervene, as well as answering inbound calls? But if you answer only inbound, you are totally reactive.
Exactly.
And our work requires us to be daily, intentionally proactive on behalf of our learners.
And it's sometimes even anticipatory. And you ask how I think about it.
I love that. Anticipatory.
Anticipatory, right? It's almost
Read
like
the signals.
We talked about hospitality, like even at
Yes.
the dinner last night. We didn't ask them to come to us to fill up our water glass.
They did.
They just came. They noticed the water is empty and they asked if you want another one, or they'll just pour it. So anticipating matters too.
And they also checked in to see what cadence we want.
They did.
Did you notice
They
that?
did.
And
They
that's
let us-
important for us
they
in
set the
education
pace.
as well. Set the pace.
So the way I think about a lot of the things is exactly what you said about with, right?
With.
First, you have to accept that if higher ed historically did not have internet, for example, or email or apps, but now they all do, or even chatbots, now they all do,
Yes.
right? You have to accept that we are going to move into an agentic world.
Yes.
Okay. If that is true, then there's probably going to be more AI agents than humans that exist in the world. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just another node in the labor market. And so how do agents and humans work together to serve those people? And so to your point, as we think about the speed to lead notion, right? There's a lot of repetitive things that humans do in a call center that people do not want to do.
Correct. I was going to say call centers.
Right?
That humans do it because it's required of their job, but we're not allowing those employees to lean into their highest purpose.
Yes.
On behalf of our mission and on behalf of our learners.
And we're going to talk
university.
about that.
I am with you on this.
Yeah.
I would also say that I do agree with you. It's evolving and much faster than many are comfortable with. And as I shared with you last night at dinner, I mean, there are things that happen that if you're aware, as you and I and our colleagues are, sometimes it does feel scary. Or as I said to you, there are things that happen that feel a little freaky. It's okay to acknowledge that. But if you get buried there or anchored there, you don't move forward on behalf of your mission. The time is now.
The time is now.
The time is now.
And some of those examples of things that people don't want to do, for example, is sitting on the phone waiting for somebody to pick up.
I know.
Right? That doesn't necessarily mean that the student doesn't want to talk to you now.
Right.
Oh, it doesn't necessarily mean that the student doesn't want to hear from you. They may not want to hear from you now. They might not be ready to talk to a human yet. So the agent can either answer their questions, guide them to whatever resource they need to process on their own, and then warm transfer that to a human.
Yes.
And now the people in the call center are just answering calls from people that want to talk to them. That were handed to them by the agent.
Really warm handoffs.
Warm handoffs, right?
Well, it's also about capacity.
Yes.
As I hear you speak about it in that way, that you're doing the funneling, you're looking at your funnel, and you're tiering your funnel so that the human energy is spent where it needs to be spent.
Yeah.
We often talk about it as, how you equip our advisors, everyone in student experience at SNHU. It really is a system that takes that full loop for the life cycle of a student journey. Agents can help build a total toolbox. You think about that, like the Swiss Army tool or suit, a Marvel suit, an Iron Man suit for our advisors, so that they have the tools at their hands and the agents are doing work that helps them understand who needs your attention today.
That's right.
I'm excited about it. We are working in that space. But I would say to you, as we talked last night, I think a risk in higher education for leaders is that you know that it's moving fast. It's perfectly okay to say, I don't understand it all.
Yeah.
The plan shouldn't be just to go buy a bunch of things, tools or agents, from my view, Ruben. I want to know about your view, or a bunch of licenses without understanding first what is the capacity of the organization, what's your data structure, what is the capacity of your people to be able to implement with fidelity and ROI anything you bring into your environment.
Yes.
And that's about setting the right pace. Because otherwise, and what are you willing to risk? To your test and learn example, what are you willing to spend in money or risk in the experience so that you can pilot, test, learn, iterate? Lean startup methodology matters a lot.
And a lot of people think you can't be risk averse and take risks, but you actually can.
Both can be true at the same time.
At the same time. And just to end on the other piece around like the how I think about it, there are metrics that take time to show up.
They do.
But there are metrics that can show up in a day or a week that can help you decide what to buy and not to buy.
That's right.
And humans already do things like this. I think enrollment is a great area to do it. I think call centers often get a bad rep if you just hear the word call center, almost like you hear the word sales.
Yes.
A call center at a school is not cold outbound spam.
No, it's not.
It's warm outbound to people that reach out asking for help and guidance for a question and figuring out how to show them. And then if you help them, those numbers show up immediately. Did that inquiry start an application? Did that application complete? Are they stuck because they don't have money and they need financial aid?
That's right.
What are you doing?
Like, what is their barrier?
You're giving them the resources. Do they need a laptop? Do they need health? Like, there's different. Do
That's
they need
the way
housing?
we do it.
Right?
What do you,
These
basic
are all
needs
things
we talked about.
that, like, okay, let's say that an agent finds out that someone needs housing or whatever. The human can help them figure that out.
That's right. Or all of the pre-work we do at SNHU, you're bringing this to the fore for me, is yes, students need the technological tools to work in our environment, wherever they are learning, in place or online, and we owe them the training about what platforms they'll be in, how they can navigate that. It's how you are setting the stage for success at every moment in the journey. And not leaving it all to someone, not because they can't do it. But we have to help them with agency. We all need that across our entire life.
Yes, and one of my favorite phrases that you shared yesterday was always, to what end? Right?
I ask that question several times a day. To what end? And I think it's critically important in this environment because there is so much coming at us about the evolution of higher education, and we're in a very, not just education, but in the education sector, converging headwinds that make this a very, very challenging time. So the urge is, if I have a sales pitch, as you said, if it's just a pitch and not substantive, that I'll buy it. And that will solve my problems. And that's why the to what end question is so important. The to what end is that actually the piece of the journey that I need to solve right now? Is that an intervention where I have evidence from an earlier pilot or test and learn that it will move the needle for a student and multiple students to get to scale. Is it repeatable? Scale requires processes
I love that point.
and tools. You get a flywheel of excellence going. That means that you're not leaving the knowledge in a workaround situation with a group of people who've done it a long time, but that you or I could step in and get on the flywheel.
I mean,
repeat that process, and that drives excellence.
That repeatable point is so funny to me because we were talking about different companies that have come to OutRival to do business. And I've told you I've said no to certain things. And part of the reason why I say no to certain things is because it's not repeatable.
That's right.
Right? If I can do something with someone, I want it to be something that's repeatable in multiple areas. And going back to this point about 2N and the metrics, I would say, when you think of, you said something about like the importance of not being so certain. Right?
Oh, yes.
And you said more curiosity, less certainty.
Yes.
So even though you are going towards a specific goal, like, can you talk about more curiosity, less certainty?
I think it's a way of walking and work. And for me, it's essential for everyone. Certainly for learning, right? Do you get the value if you aren't curious, right? If you just accept everything. Certainly in these times, we talked about sort of the echo chambers of information in this time of our devices. And though I do believe in gamification, you know that.
Yeah, we both do.
So for me, curiosity has to be the way that I walk in the work as the president and that everyone does. And what I mean by that is I should not assume that I am asking all of the questions that need to be asked. And I certainly greet every day being sure that I don't assume that I have all the answers. And curiosity allows us to every day want to unlock new relationship, to learn something new, to ask better questions, to look at data in new ways. Certainty to me is to be avoided. Now, are there things that you and I are talking about where you're really certain? Yes.
I know that.
You know that, and you know it. And you know it when you're looking at the data, and you better move when the data tells you that. But certainty to me means that someone is hardened in a position. And with the world evolving as fast as it is, I believe that that's a dangerous stance for a leader to take, or a person to take.
Was it? I forgot who the philosopher was, but I'm the wisest person in the world because I know that I know nothing.
I know nothing.
Right?
That's right.
It's the most common understanding. Like if you stay humble and open, then you're not going to be preserving structures and leading managed decline, which is your line that you shared with me yesterday.
I meditate, and one of my daily routines, even before I enter any space, whether it's my workspace or I'm on vacation, is to ask myself to be open to the gift of having awareness where I do not have it. It centers me.
No, I think meditation is key. I have the Open app. I don't know if you play with that.
Oh, I do.
It's a great app.
I do.
What's the cost of not being curious and preserving the structure?
Yeah.
And I asked this question. I know it's definitely a leading question.
Yeah.
But like,
it's one of the right questions to be asking,
Ruben. It's the right
Ruben.
question to ask. Yeah. So
I think it's the right question. That part of the success that I was so fortunate to join at SNHU and now to be accountable to lead SNHU into the next era is that SNHU is truly built. You know how you hear learner centricity? From the opening days in 1932, today, 2026, the learner truly is at the center of every decision that we make. And we have a lot of learners, and we understand that there's a diversity of experience for those learners. What I mean about that is we don't make a decision because it allows us to keep the same structure that we have as an organization. Every decision we make will advance opportunity for the learner. Now, obviously, there are structural decisions in higher ed about compliance requirements, about being committed to both open access and the high quality that every person deserves in their education. But if your view is the way I've planned my university, whatever the divisions are, the departments, your product set, your delivery systems, your tech stack, is to preserve that, I think there is great risk there. I would call it grave risk there for higher education.
That's the way.
Colleges and universities.
That's the best way and most eloquent way to put it. And before going into the systems in higher ed, I just want to bring up the point again, which is you can be both risk averse.
You have to
You
be.
can make evidence-based decisions that lead to positive change, but it's important to potentially time box the decisions on a shorter timeline to try, test, and tune, and then create what you call after-action reports.
Oh, yes.
Talk about that.
Oh, I'm a big believer. So I want to go back to what you said, though, about risk. You can be risk averse, and you must be, I'm telling you, and also make decisions. What you can't miss as a university president is always calling the question of what is the risk here? Because your mind can take you down many paths about risk, or the history of a place can tell. Do you know how people have in their head the story the way they've heard it?
Yeah.
And so tapes often play.
Whatever
This
you
is
think
the
is going to be what it's
story
going
of
to
whatever
be.
you think. That is your story. So asking about clear evidence about what the risks are is just a wise thing to do, especially in this time where we know the world of AI has any number of risks that we could talk about. But once you know that, then you move into, what's my mitigation plan?
Yeah.
If I still believe that is the right decision to be making, how do I mitigate that risk? And how do you wring out, what's the residual risk that's left?
There you go. And
After you have mitigation strategies, and are you able, your organization, to manage residual risk?
Yeah.
So again, that very notion of being risk averse and also taking risks is evidence-based and a very disciplined process that has a set of steps in it as well.
I love that. Not only did you frame the importance of naming what the risk is, but earlier when I asked the question, you said it was the right question.
Yes.
What I learned in Silicon Valley is a lot of time when people think about risk outside of Silicon Valley, they think about it in a way where they're looking at the downside. Right?
Yes.
But in Silicon Valley, the question is not what's the worst that could happen.
What's the best that could happen?
What's the best that could happen? If you orient yourself on what's the best that can happen, even if there's like a 1% likelihood that it can happen, and you do all these things like bring in the right team or work with somebody that's established with a skill set or whatever to increase the likelihood that it happens, then you start operating from a different framework. Okay, I'm scared of this. Okay, cool. Well, if I do this, then maybe, I can get to this place. So what's the best that can happen is a very important thing to think about.
I really appreciate that framing, and I think sometimes the way I talk about it is, are you going to be stuck in place, or are you an organization and a group of people who are moving toward? Always identifying even challenges or opportunities. Are you moving toward? I think we get stuck when we believe the structure of a sector or of a place is what we're fighting for or preserving. From my point of view, I love talking with my colleagues about this. You know what I'm fighting for? For there to be more educational opportunities available. I don't want colleges and universities to close. I don't.
Not at all.
I think that's horrible for people and for communities and for our sector. So that's what I'm fighting for.
Yeah, I'm fighting for that as well.
Right.
And speaking of systems, okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about systems.
Sure.
Higher ed, we know the systems that we've invested in are not AI native.
They are not.
We know that the world is moving to an agentic AI native future.
Correct.
Okay, cool. So yesterday you said, so what is the question that we should be asking for as higher ed leaders to bring in people that can help us get there? You started talking about that.
Yes, I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm going to wander on this a little bit, and then you ask questions so that you're sure from your point of view that I'm on track. I think that is the essential question to ask. And what got us to where we are today will not get us into the future.
Period.
And I mean that. I'm going to own that. I'm not talking about any other leaders, college or university, though I would have that conversation. I'm talking about that from Southern New Hampshire University. Except in our DNA is a culture of iteration from the earliest days, a real clap line for our learners and our people when they lean into new ideas. And so I am so fortunate that I have a community of people who are curious about what's next.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I start from that. That has allowed us to think very strategically about the following. We cannot tweak our way to the future. We'll share that with you. That is my belief.
Yeah.
When you have systems that are not AI native, I applaud all of the efforts of many of our platform partners or other partners who are working aggressively to reinvent their product set. But by its nature, there is some tweaking there.
Yeah.
What I'm really curious about are organizations, platform companies, including our own work on our own new AI human development platform that starts from an AI native lens. That is the best of whiteboarding. It takes you back into the space of what is true, what are the true tenets of education, what you must have to generate a learning experience that has return on investment. And I use that language specifically for our learners. And it creates an openness when you leave your assumptions at the door about what a system of learning is. So I'm with you. I wish the speed would pick up for AI native product sets, but some of what I learned from you last night, though I study the field daily, is that there are many, new startups and other organizations and even more mature organizations that are in this space. I think if we don't do that in building new systems, we're at risk of allowing my very treasured and cherished colleagues at some of the frontier labs to make decisions on behalf of higher education. Why would we ever cede our authority on what learning is and what learning must be for people and for communities?
And empathizing with our esteemed colleagues.
Yes.
Right? I understand why the default is to go with what you know.
Oh,
right?
you have to keep running.
And who you know,
yes.
right? Because, the most expensive question in business is we've always done it that way, right? And to your point, if you...
I'm smiling because I don't ever want to hear that.
I don't. Yeah, right? And it goes back to what you said. My mother told me, if you always do what you always done, you always get what you always got.
You get the same result.
Which is the same thing that you said,
your
which
mother
is like,
said that.
what got you here won't get you there, right?
That's right.
Same thing that we talked about before. But going back to being risk averse in relationships, which we'll get into in a second, trust matters, right? So you're going to go with who you've been familiar with, but if they're not saying or working with you and just kind of like selling their book,
I know.
How are you going to prepare students that are aligned with the mission of your organization?
Yes.
And that's why, like, when we had this conversation and started highlighting other players.
And how I do that work, I think, is likely what you want me to talk about, Ruben, which is that for me, those best relationships, first of all, I have a decision I made was that I wanted SNHU to see ourselves as a build culture in this time. And to see yourself as a build culture does not mean you build everything yourself in a bespoke way. It could mean that for certain parts of a new system. But it does mean that you educate and train the entire employee base in the world of agentic AI, getting to superintelligence at some point, as we talked about. And right now we have performance targets around this for ourselves to help all of our people to set a baseline measure. What is their skill level with AI against what it should be for each role? What is their confidence level, which we own? And when you get that baseline, to hold ourselves accountable for increases in skills and in confidence. Why is that important? I think everyone in our organization will be working alongside AI, and some will be managing both people and agents. So investing in our people first so that they are ready to maximize the leverage that an AI native or agentic environment can provide for our learners and our mission, have to invest in people first. I also, Ruben, as I shared with you, realized what I didn't know. And I shared with you that authenticity matters so much for me. And that I do not ever want to be the university president of any place, but of the largest, I want to be, but I'm one of the presidents of one of the largest colleges and universities, learning enterprises in the nation. When you listen to me speak, you expect and you should expect that I've done that work and I know what I'm talking about. Not just that I've done a lit review, though I love to do them, but that I've indexed on over learning in AI. So I asked our chief AI officer, George Siemens, if you don't know him, everyone, read and do your research and learn about George, to create with our AI team an executive boot camp for my executive team. And for 6 weeks, we worked together with daily assignments, lunch and learns, and it was in the flow of work. So we learned where AI would be powerful in our roles, mine for president, which is different than the CFO, which is different from the COO, which is different from the provost, or the
So it's
CMO,
custom
the
by
marketing
role.
officer, or the student. And so you learn in the flow of work. So we learned where it belongs, and more importantly, where it doesn't.
Yeah, yeah.
Now we are rolling that out across the entire organization.
I love
So
that.
it's now down to the next tiers of leaders. How can I expect them to speak about this, to make decent decisions when they're talking with vendors? Or I don't see our vendors as vendors. If they're great, they're my strategic partners
There you go.
at SNHU, if I don't invest in their learning.
Yeah, yeah. How can you?
But build first. It's a cultural move that we're making at SNHU to be builders.
I think in common cultures is don't talk about it, be about it. You can't teach students how to use AI if you don't use AI.
Don't
Doesn't
talk
make any
about
sense.
it, be about it. It's authenticity.
Yeah, it's about
Right.
being genuine. It's about being real. And
You
I
know,
love.
I used to teach 5th and 8th grade.
Yeah.
And I learned that lesson, not just from my own family, but powerfully then. Because to be clear, you're standing up in front of a group of 5th graders or 8th graders, they know if you aren't real.
They're gonna
And they
spot
let you
it
know.
instantly.
It was great training for the college presidency.
Yeah, and I love that you don't just focus it on your leadership team. Like the whole
Whole
organization needs to understand.
We
it
did that
and need to
rollout with
practice it.
Copilot, Ruben. I don't know if I shared that with you totally, which is just one possible tool. We're a Microsoft environment, and we started with required training that individuals could do digitally. Then we rolled out in cohort groups, and they had peer learning and coaching, and we had coaches who were champions of the rollout. And you one level, then we had more champions next level, and we rolled out successfully to more than 5,000, our full-time population.
I remember that, and that was a great story.
Yeah.
And I love it. And it's a known name, Microsoft,
Yes.
right? But last night,
It's one of many tools.
Last night you shared something that people might be like, "Why does this touch your heart?" It touched my heart because I was like, you fondly talked about a strategic partner,
I did.
EdSights.
Yes.
And you said, we really partnered with them with Penny, AI, and all these things. And I was like, wow, like this is not just a vendor.
No.
This is somebody
No.
that established a real relationship where in a dinner conversation, she's just casually talking about them.
Yes.
Not just you.
No.
Libby,
My team, Siobhan.
They're talking about it. I'm like, how did they do that? So talk to me about that relationship
love
because it's
your-
not a known name.
Ruben, I love your careful listening because I do speak about them fondly, both the founders and their team members. And the reason why that is a great strategic partnership is that we invested in the relationship and in them from their earliest days. Why? This is a group of builders and leaders who knew that their success and our success was and is dependent upon them embedding with our teams. So they're not coming in casually and saying, here, give us some reports. They obsess about SNHU's relationships with our learners as much as we obsess about our relationship and our commitment to our learners. And they have been on a learning journey with us, letting us know what works and what doesn't work, being willing to step in and try pilots with us. They're us.
Yeah.
So yes, they are their own company, and to some degree then you would call them a vendor. I see them as an extension of the SNHU team. I am so glad that you picked up on that. And Penny the chatbot has been a game changer, and they're investing in many more uses of AI that are helpful for us. But an absolute game changer for our learners at SNHU and for our people.
Yeah, no, I think it's a very special.
And not a name that you said,
Yeah.
you know it, but that others would necessarily know.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because if I put on my President Ryerson hat on,
Yes.
so today I'm President Ryerson, I go to a conference, everybody's trying to pitch me, right?
For certain.
If I'm going home and I sit down at my desk
Yes.
at work, I'm getting emails, people
Inbounds
trying to
all the
pitch
time.
me all day, right?
Yeah.
So I empathize with drowning in pitches.
Yes. Yes.
But at the same time, you are looking for strategic partners because you are curious.
Oh, for sure.
And you're aware that you don't know everything.
Yes.
We don't know everything.
Yes.
So how does someone that wants to establish a relationship break through the noise to catch someone's attention
Yes.
that has your hat on?
Yeah. First of all, know that at
Or your
SNHU,
team's hats on.
this is so important. and we did speak about this, and you're right about EdSights. I would want everyone to know that we are more curious than ever. And so we do want to know about what's happening out in the world. But I would say when a pitch is authentic, which is about a leader, a founder, an individual, a leader of a company that is well established, that is doing something unique, that authenticity and the outreach. In other words, from the very first presentation or outreach, do they know us?
Yeah.
When someone assumes that we need something, that SNHU needs something without really knowing us, I know that it isn't authentic.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So it is that. Know that SNHU, we spend a lot of time, and we have teams who are looking at development opportunities with other strategic partners. So we're open for business to hear. We have a whole unit, a new executive vice president for enterprise ventures that will lead incubation work. So we have a front door there with Jim Chilton, who is that leader.
Awesome.
We will get back to you. Authenticity, know the business, be curious, and want to be true partners with us, as opposed to just selling us and checking in with us only periodically.
I love that.
Build with us, not for us.
I love that.
It goes back to our lengthy conversation about our care for the learners at SNHU and understanding that their journeys are unique. You know, this is a journey of one in 225 plus thousand, right? We understand every journey is unique.
Yeah.
I want our potential strategic partners to know that SNHU is also unique and that they need to know us.
Yeah. No, I like that. We've talked about caregiving. We talked about care a lot.
All of it. This is about care.
Like if you think about care, after action reports.
Oh, yes, we talked about that.
And performance, right?
Yes.
And tweaking our way to the future and how that's not the way. A lot of people can do a good job.
Yes.
They can exceed expectations, but they don't care, right?
Right.
And then there's a lot of people, when they think about performance, it's just how good is the technology? Is there no background noise? Is there no latency? Things like that, right? So when you think about someone who cares and how important that is, how does that evolve? Like, how does that relationship evolve over time? So let's say I started with the pilot with you and I wanted to convert it into an annual. Like, what are ways that people have demonstrated care beyond doing the job? That's
I can give you very specific examples.
Yeah.
And it is, so going back to this, relationship that we have that we've talked about a lot with EdSights. One prime example is that one of their principals, Carolina, will see me on her visits. First of all, hear what I'm saying, that the principals will come along with the relationships we have with the depth of their team and be excited in my office to tell me things that I don't know that she knows about our learners, knows about them by name, knows about what they've asked for.
So
have I thought about this? So we learn. It is duos, triads. A learning community is created.
I like that.
And at the same time, of course, report outs to Sue Nathan, our Chief Experience Officer, our other teams are about the metrics that you're talking about. You do have to understand what the performance is, what load are they able to manage, what evidence do you have about the warm handoffs from a chatbot into the systems of SNHU that are very human systems with our advisors and our faculty members who are often life coaches in addition to these other roles that they're playing. But that's how you establish it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And
it's rooted in the way you've had results with other organizations, but then the evidence that you're presenting has to be deeply rooted in the needs of SNHU.
Yeah. And there's front doors to establish a relationship with you all. There are people that are established.
Definitely.
But let's say, I told you about my frustrations with conferences.
And we talked about this jointly.
I asked you where you spend your time outside of the typical conferences. But what I noticed at the conference last week, for example, you have the vendors, you have the higher leaders that all the vendors want to meet because they want to work with them.
And they're in two separate spaces. Lunch comes. The leaders are together. A vendor comes, they scatter. Unless they're already partnered with someone, then now they're friends and they're on stage together. They're having meetings.
But from the higher ed person, perspective, are people coming to conferences just for a family reunion, or are they coming to learn things? What do you think? What do you think should change from conferences? And you might not be frustrated with this. You might think that this is fine, but for me, I always get confused about why vendors and higher leaders aren't spending time together.
Yes.
Because if we don't know everything and you're looking for solutions to your problems,
You have to sit with us.
shouldn't you, right?
Oh,
Outside
I
of a
think
booth?
absolutely. And so I've thought about this a lot,
Yeah.
after we talked about it last night. And I do think you're absolutely right about how it feels frustrating probably on both sides. So on some level, not just for presidents, but when our employees, and I share with you, I work very hard to be sure that the multiple wonderful leadership voices at SNHU are heard and not just mine. So we do go to many events as learning events and also to share our knowledge as a way to help strengthen, as we're able, the sector as a whole. I think you don't want to be pitched all the time, but as you and I are saying, being together doesn't mean pitching.
That's right.
If you enter into it as a true learning community, and I think some conferences do this better than others, when you're having panels, they should be blended.
Yeah.
Put new thinkers, new founders, vendors together with college leaders, with learners. Students are often
Why
missing.
don't we hear the student
So
voice?
bring these
what a
voices.
novel
So I
idea.
think the way we structure our panel conversations, our salons, and probably our setup. It's a pretty traditional vendor setup. So I noodled last night. I don't have the answer for you, Ruben, but I really challenged myself to think about the point that you were making. I try, as I shared with you, when I'm at conferences, I'm aware that vendors have paid to be there, and that often they're sponsoring, and that I'm learning from them, and I want to talk with them. Part of why you're there is to give a pitch. So I need to build into my schedule time to walk the room and engage with people. I think most college presidents do that.
Yeah, they do that.
And they do talk. But you are right. Why are we keeping the same structure alive if we have the same frustration?
Exactly.
Zero-base the structure of how we interact at a conference is what I
right.
would say.
I really love the point of the student voice, because as you know, I think if we want to meet students where they are, you do need an omni-channel approach. It's not just text, email,
Absolutely.
voicemail, calls, right? You do need voice, right? Because
I agree.
I'm a big believer in voice AI. But, part of why I started this is to hear from you
Yes.
that's actually using technology. But to your point, how cool would it be? It reminds me of the Breaking Stars podcast.
Yes.
Where if you heard the student
Always.
sharing their experience working with AI agents and your staff,
Yes.
and how that helped them
Yes.
accomplish whatever they were trying to accomplish.
Well,
That is awesome.
I'll tell you one of the ways that we do this at SNHU, and you met Siobhan. We started having at our in-person leadership alignment meetings and also in virtual meetings, panels of students, and Siobhan is an incredible facilitator of this, panels of learners. And we ask these questions that you've just said. How can we learn where we need to improve if we don't have the voices there? So we bring the voices of the learners into our meetings. I ensure that happens. I don't want to have designers who go off in a corner and design without having the student voice with them.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it,
Yeah.
Ruben,
Yeah.
because I am not the student. So I have to know that. I'm a student across my whole life, but I am not an SNHU student.
Yeah.
So I want to know that as we're testing, we're taking in learner input and data, qualitative, quantitative, all the time as part of our build, and inviting students in with us.
I love that.
I believe in that so deeply, as much as you know, that part of our AI journey is that I am a believer, and I lead in the following way. AI engineers matter.
Yeah.
Engineers matter. So in our program and product pod development, we have engineers at the table with leaders.
I love that.
With our customer experience team, understanding student voices all of the time as we're building.
Yeah.
You don't come up with a problem and send it to the engineering team. The engineering team is embedded
Yeah.
in the pod
Yeah.
to do the work. And that's all over. That's in marketing, student experience, academics. Those AI pods are everywhere and growing across SNHU.
Yeah. Something related to designing with you brought up earlier, which is purpose matchmaking.
I did.
And it'll tie into longevity, which we'll go into later.
I told you about that talk I gave.
But tell me about purpose matchmaking and how it ties to personalization and reaching people where they are.
Yeah. To me it is, and as I shared with you last night, and I'll briefly share with your listeners, it started for me in my work in aging and working on social determinants and trying to alleviate poverty, stop it from increasing against, for older adults, people 50 and older. And as I was thinking about housing at every level, housing accessibility, housing instability, and also long-term care or caregiving, it struck me that just like higher education, where you have activities directors, advisors, you have those same models in other communities of care. And that's about spinning up things to do, whether or not you know that activity or journey is actually what the people you are serving need or want. So my suggestion at the time to those who were involved in the housing market was to change those positions, the titles and the skills that they bring, to call them purpose matchmakers. Why? Every day from entry through a journey with a learner then for us, and at that time, clients, older adults you're serving, you would know that the most important check-in is, do I understand your goal? Do I know you? Why do you think you're here at SNHU? What is your goal? What will it take to accomplish that goal? And then you're purposefully, with purpose at the core, building a pathway with a learner.
Yeah.
Not for a learner assuming their purpose. What do we assume their purpose is? Always a full degree program. Is that everyone's purpose? Maybe at some point in their life. Do they need today as their purpose, I want a promotion in my work? Can you help me identify the skills gaps that I have that I must demonstrate? What does the purpose matchmaker do, which is our advisors? They find the programs and opportunities in SNHU that can help you get there.
I love
so I'm glad that you picked up on that.
Oh, definitely. And the other thing I picked up on is you didn't just bring up purpose. You brought up what is your goal.
What is your goal?
Right, because goals can change. And
Purpose changes.
Purpose can change.
Yes.
But goals, let's say the purpose doesn't change. There's a lot of goals that service a purpose.
That's right.
And because goals and purpose can change, personalization isn't static. It's not just at the beginning. It's changing.
Boom.
You're changing as
There's
a person.
There's a mic drop of what you just said.
Right.
And that's the risk, right? That you'll say, I'll buy a system that will help me with personalization. You think it's a one and done.
It's not.
It's
not an out-the-box solution.
We are in violent agreement about this. It is not, and that is where you get to the AI native, but also the sensibility, the attributes of an organization and the people within an organization to be deeply curious. Not just checking a box, as you said earlier. I have to ask these questions.
Yeah.
So whether that's a human or that's an agent, it's about knowing.
Yeah.
And caring to know.
Exactly. And I love that we both worked in longevity.
Yeah.
And caregiving, because like 50,000 people are turning 65 every day for the next 19 years. I told you I was born in Loma Linda, which is a blue zone.
And I talked with you about work that I did with Loma Linda.
And Okinawa, Japan, I've been there to like really understand longevity, right? Because that's where the most, like, women who live the oldest in the world are in Okinawa.
Yes.
And they have this concept called ikigai, which is translated as a reason for living and purpose. And I'm bringing it up because it ties to lifelong learning, right?
Yes.
And it's not just about 4-year degrees, graduating, get a job, and you're done, right?
Never should have been about that, but it absolutely cannot be that today.
So things are going to be evolving. And then if you have all these AI breakthroughs happening in the world, and I'm not going to, I'll just bring up examples.
I'm excited
like
about it.
GLP-1, peptides, all these things. Like I think people are going to be living longer. So if you just do an exercise and say people are going to live to 150, let's just say that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what does that look like from an education perspective, and how are we designing our systems to serve them is a question. I'm not looking for an answer here.
I know, but I want you and I to talk about it, and maybe we'll have another section together on this, because you bring up, first of all, longevity is more possible today. We could have a whole session on who gets access to it and who doesn't. That, to me, I call to the fore because it really very much is about our commitment at SNHU to open up access, but access without completion is
what?
not positive. That is, you have not done the job.
Exactly.
So for me, we have to build and design the opportunity that I hope I have for more longevity for all. And when you do it for all, you do the really hard work of understanding how individual this becomes. Higher education is all, I have talked about lifelong learning throughout my entire career. When I look in the mirror, I realize that I didn't always talk about it in a way that I then walked building the systems to ensure it. SNHU is talking about and walking in a way that will allow us to ensure that learners have easy in and out ramps. Where does AI and the agentic world help us? It helps us to know our learners. When a learner, you talked about omni-channel, when a learner contacts us in any way, in any channel, they should expect that whoever picks that up, human, agent, student financial services, your advisor, knows who you are.
Yeah.
And they know who you were 20 years ago.
Yeah.
When you're speaking about lifetimes
Maybe
that are
you applied
more
20 years ago, you applied
centenarians.
again, you should be able to pick up where you left
And
off.
that is where you have the power of tools that can do knowledge work with us, next to us, as our colleagues. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a whole other conversation about HR and training for managers and leaders that I find very, very exciting. And it's also daunting.
It is daunting, but it's like you said, I think if we're not just focusing on what's the best that can happen, a lot of AI or technology movies or books, like when we were at dinner, we saw the girl at the front desk. She had a Brave New World.
She had a Brave New World.
There's 1984, there's these dystopian views on AI. But if you start thinking about it from a positive perspective, there's a lot of things that can be changed. And I want to bring up gamification, right? Because you and I both like Duolingo. We use Duolingo to learn languages. Arguably, the power of Duolingo is breaking things into tiny chunks, reminders, follow-ups, nudges, which is also important when you think about what can agents do that humans don't want to do.
Systems.
Humans don't want to be like, hey man, did you fill out your application? Did you? Oh, don't forget about this deadline. Like those are follow-ups and nudges that agents can do. And you play dominoes, and that helps with memory.
Dominoes.
So like, how do you think about gamification from a technology perspective at SNHU?
Yeah, I think that gamification sometimes is viewed as less than or not high quality, and I think it's brilliant, don't you? You know when you have gamification that is brilliant. We think about it, you use Duolingo, which we both use daily, which is a terrific example. It's like, I was trained as a reading teacher, a reading specialist. The way you learn to read is with meaningful bites of meaning, and you stack those. So gamification, or that way that you nudge people on to the next step that they are able to absorb and do, becomes very, very important as one is thinking about completion in learning. So I think we should be using it, and I do agree with you that technology itself, whether it's a chatbot or more agentic world, should take away the tasks that are better done with technology and by agents, and should free up capacity for the uniquely human work. Or as we sometimes say at SNHU, you have handwork and you have heart work. I want more of our people to be able to do the heart work, the purpose work, and I want to offload the handwork. Always within a framework of careful philosophy of AI use and technology use, careful ethical standards, privacy standards. Data sovereignty and AI sovereignty is important to us at SNHU, another topic for another podcast. But I want to free up capacity. Because human connection matters. So what am I saying? A long way of saying, I think they're onto something.
No, absolutely.
Why would you and I keep going back? Remember I said to you that I knew when I got home I would have I put on the notifications. It's a particularly busy time for me now, and I want Duolingo to send me a notification. I want the owl to say, do you want to lose your streak? And I am so competitive, I do not want to lose my streak.
I'm not like that either. and I think it's a great segue to, I think the handwork versus hard work. It's a good segue to my last two questions.
Okay.
The first of the questions is, I remember back in the day with Career Karma, it was all about let's hire the best people, delegate, and let them figure it out. And then as things evolve, I learned the importance of founder mode and being involved in the details, like because we talked about performance, right? So a lot of people call that micromanagement, but some people say micromanagement is management. You call it being in the work. What's the difference between being in the work and micromanagement, and why is that what we believe is the right way to lead?
I have learned this in my lessons, and sometimes the hard way.
The hard way, for sure.
About when I did not get that right. I every day walk in the work at SNHU. And the reason why there isn't micromanagement is I'm not actually doing.
Yeah.
Micromanagement is, move over, advisor. I'm going to tell you how to build I'm going to build your daily schedule. I'm going to make your calls for you. I actually do. You do listen. You do have to know that. Walking in the work is doing side-by-sides.
Yeah.
Desktops with people. Walking in the work is, as the president, strategic planning is my job as much as it is anyone's job. It's a practice. I know the work so deeply that I could do it. I know the work so deeply that I ask better questions, I coach better, I mentor better, and I am accountable for all of it. I'm accountable for all of it.
Yeah.
I'm a better coach because I walk in the work. If you don't walk in the work, are you a talking head? I don't know, Ruben. What do you think?
There's a lot of talking heads.
Are you a talking head? Like, I need to know. Whenever I take a new job, I spend a lot of time bringing together, going deeply into each team. Show me what you do. It's also about respect. Walking in the work is about respect for our employees who are working. Our employees at SNHU, they wake up every day caring deeply about excellence on behalf of our learners. Caring deeply about it. I need to care about them at that same level.
I mean, to your point, walking in the work as a leader is about care. Right?
It's care.
If I'm
it
a
all
leader
comes back to
and
care.
I'm delegating it to you and you don't hear from me, I'm not with you doing the work, do I really care if I'm not in the details with you?
I don't think that you do. And I would also say it's the way you understand what your risks are. And this, your question to me ties together this entire conversation. It also is the mandate for me right now as a university president. It's a big role to see yourself as caring across the whole. And you have to know that you want to do that work.
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't that true at any point in our career?
1,000%.
Understand what the work is. If you don't walk in it, you do not know what it is.
Yeah. And the last question before the rapid fire round is...
Oh, I can't wait for that. Can't wait to hear what you're going to ask.
You said what got you here won't get you there, right?
Absolutely.
You're the leader of SNHU.
And you could ask anyone at SNHU and they would say they understand that.
All right. I see it. I see you walking the walk, and now you're the leader of one of the largest schools in the nation, right? Where are you taking the SNHU next?
When you think about scale for me, as I said earlier in our conversation, serving 225, 250, whatever, any one given term, 300,000 learners is no longer scale in my mind. Why is that so? Think about the population. You take it domestically, you take it globally. And the not just the concept, but the reality of unlocking opportunity across a life course. Many more people need more learning throughout their lifetime. So I challenge us all the time. What would it take to get to 500,000, 1 million, 10 million learners? Why do I say that? Not just for the number, for the impact.
It's a need.
It's the need and the impact for those individuals, their families, their communities, our society. The purpose of education, to allow individuals to have purposeful lives, good jobs, good pay, good benefits.
I love the ambition because, one of the things that we used to say is, I want to help 1 billion people in 10 years.
That's right.
And there's a lot of people in the world. It's like 8 billion people
I know
in the
there
world.
is. So that is also,
and so like
that's
even
meaningful.
10 million students is a very small fraction of 8 billion. It's still, you're not just, so a lot of people think scale sometimes is bad. You're getting some people might even say it's greedy. I don't think it's that at all.
Yes, we talked about that.
I think it's actually, like you said, there's people that aren't just the 43 million stopouts.
Yes.
It's the people that It's not the people that have some college, no degree, and the
Yes.
people that...
Even though that's a huge number
That's
itself.
a huge number, right?
Yes.
It's bigger than the 20 million plus that are
Oh,
enrolling
sure.
in
It's
schools.
40 million.
But there's way more people
Thank you.
that have not decided to go to school because they don't know that they can.
Or they're getting signals.
Right?
They
have
don't
any
know that they
signals.
can, and they're getting
Right.
signals from society. So you're right. Sometimes it's viewed as greedy. Here is what I always say to my colleagues. I want every one of you to succeed and have those goals. We thrive when you have micro colleges and large universities and different types and publics and privates and two-year and professional skills, which is where we have a huge and growing program that is AI native in its build. There are plenty of people to serve. Let's come together and serve more of them.
There it is. There it is. Great ending to the rapid round. So rapid fire round.
Okay, Ruben.
This is where I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. I just need short answers, but it's okay if we go on tangent because I like our tangents.
Good.
So the first question I'm going to ask you is, what's your most used prompt?
My most used prompt is Claude, Claude. Claude, will you check my blind spots and my cognitive bias?
I love that. That's a good one. And what books are you reading right now?
Right now I'm reading a book that I read every year. I love Jane Austen. I wrote my undergraduate thesis on Jane Austen, and I read her novels every year, Pride and Prejudice. However, also Louise Penny. I like a good detective story.
I love that. Mystery is good. I read a lot of the Hardy Boys mystery
Love
books.
it. Growing up, and I
which is
love
great.
a good mystery. People know that. They send me mysteries all of the time.
Awesome, awesome. I also asked you, I already brought this up earlier about conferences.
Yes.
But you told me that you get a lot of insights from non-higher ed conferences
I
or
do.
non-higher ed things. Can you tell me a little bit about what kind of conferences have had the most impact outside of higher ed, or
Yes.
something that you pulled from another industry that was very valuable?
Oh, absolutely. I think anytime any group is offering like a salon dinner where you know they're getting community leaders together, college presidents together, workforce leaders, and that happens somewhat regionally across the nation. I love to both convene those and attend those. I think like the Atlantic, Aspen Ideas, Milliken.
Yeah.
I mean, these are just examples of larger conferences. And stay tuned. SNHU will be working to convene some of these, and you will be on the invitation list.
I hope I'm invited.
Yes.
I was gonna ask you offline.
I
but
love
that's
work.
good.
I love workforce conferences also because we're in the business of connecting people with
Education
work
and labor together.
together.
What a novel
Absolutely
idea.
together.
A lot of people go to college to do what? Get a job.
Get a job.
That's another thing that kind of frustrates
And
me.
wanting to get a job doesn't mean that you don't want to learn how
Learn
to think
or be a
and
leader.
walk in the way.
Yeah.
We somehow have disconnected what is a very connected pathway in our lives.
Exactly. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's say we're at this SNHU conference,
Yep.
right? And President Ryerson is about to walk on stage. What's her entrance music?
Hands down, Madonna, usually Holiday.
I love that. I love that.
I love the old Madonna.
The classic. I
But
love it.
classics,
And then
Holiday.
She did. You saw her in World Cup.
Oh, I absolutely
right?
saw her on the World Cup. And also, if you were talking to my children, they would tell you, as they said at my inauguration, every day growing up with them, I tried to start the day and end the day with a dance party.
It's good.
Love it.
It's a good
It's
vibe.
Good movement, good vibe.
I know we're in New Hampshire.
Yes?
You have some roots in like the Buffalo,
do.
Ithaca area. Talk to us about your favorite thing about growing up there. You have 5 siblings.
I do.
Tell us
I
about
do.
that.
I have 4 sisters and 1 brother.
Beautiful. Talk to us about the most memorable experiences together with them out there.
Oh my gosh. Growing up in New York State was terrific. Most memorable experiences. Band, I shared with you, music was important for us. It was something that we could invest in, and my family could invest in and afford, and it would get us different opportunities playing music together. Whether
There
or
it
not
is.
you're playing your instruments and or listening to music and dancing joyously together.
Awesome. So last 2 questions. First question is, what is some of the best advice you've ever gotten from a woman? It could be mother, grandmother, or someone else in your life.
Can I give you 2 bits
Yeah, of course.
of great advice? Remember the shoulders you stand on. Do not forget who you are, who led the path for us, and light it forward. The other best advice is definitely from my mother. Remember that your brain, that your head and your gut are connected.
That's real. That's real.
That is real. Both are important. Listen to both.
Head and your gut are connected. I
Head
love
and your
that
gut are
that
connected.
message. And it also reminds me of, I don't know if you know who Dr. Joe Dispenza is.
I do.
And Becoming Supernatural. He talks about the heart
Heart work. Heart.
and how the heart has a brain as well.
I know.
And how
Head,
and you talked about meditation. I remember I was in this yoga class in Miami, and they made us do a headstand.
Yes.
And they said while they're talking to you while you're doing it and holding it and like thinking about your body, they're like, it's important to have moments where your heart is over your head.
That's right.
And I thought that was like a very special
I love
thing
that,
to think
right?
about. Yeah.
Yeah.
The last question is, how do you know Paul LeBlanc?
How do I know Paul LeBlanc?
Yeah.
Who is Paul, many of you listening know Paul. I know Paul, I first met Paul when we were in our first college presidencies, leading small residential campuses, and we connected immediately. And I have had the great opportunity to serve with him on higher education boards, to serve on his board, and to be invited by him and the SNHU board to come to SNHU and follow and build upon his great leadership and his legacy, as well as the legacy of the Shapiros who opened the school and all of the presidents, Dick Gustafson, still alive, and Paul, who are here.
Dang,
So you know what? That's a gift in my life.
He's a gift, and
That's a
the
gift
reason
in
why
my
I
life.
brought him up is because
Because it's
that's
important.
he's important, but also he's how we got connected. So I want to
is
give a
how we
shout
got
out to
connected.
Paul LeBlanc. Shout out to Paul LeBlanc.
Yes.
But I have one more question.
Yes.
The last question is President's Forum.
Yes.
You're tied to the President's
am.
Forum.
Yes.
Why are you part of the President's Forum? What is it, and why is that important to you?
President's Forum, there are many, many presidential organizations. What's important to us about the President's Forum is that you have, though they appear quite different, and you've talked to many of our leaders, thank you, from the President's Forum, you have community colleges, public colleges, large private online institutions, and everything in between, private and public, smaller residential campuses. The President's Forum brings together what might seem to be a strange group of college presidents, all who are action-oriented to drive stronger, durable outcomes for our learners. And it is a group that is very interested in changing systems of learning.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So I just want to end by giving a shout out again to Paul LeBlanc, Libby, Siobhan, I think it was Lauren. Everybody that's on
I
the
love
SNHU
that.
team
Yeah,
that
thank
helped
you.
put this together. This is New Normal. Thank you for welcoming us to New Hampshire. And we out. Thank you, President
Thank you for
Ryerson.
having
and
me
thank
here.
you to you.
Ruben, thank you to
most of
you.
all. You're amazing.
Can't wait for our next conversation.
Yes.
And our work together, more
Yes.
importantly.
Likewise.